So, for today's reading, we are going to be looking into what is the good gossip on you, because we are trying to generate some happy thoughts. So, I thought this great little happy thoughts book would help us. It used to have a beautiful orange leather cover, but Angel decided that it looked like food. And at least the book is left. That's what I got to say about that. At least the book is left. And she gets so sad sometimes when you get mad at her that, you can't stay mad at her for long. Anyway, 3 piles. 1, 2, 3. Take a moment to get in touch with your intuition and your higher self. Pick the pile you feel most drawn to. Ooh, there's a yellow and black butterfly outside. That was actually the color of the butterfly I used for the post I made this morning, too. Hi, Rashima. And the one that my girls decided was my dad. Anyway. So, for today's reading, I also wanted to share a little info with you at the beginning as well. When you drink 4 cups of tea a day, you have a far lower mortality rate. They did a study from 1996 to 2011, I think it was, where they looked into the effects of drinking certain amounts of tea a day on your mortality rate and how it interacted with alcohol or cigarettes. It with the alcohol, basically removed the tea's benefits. So, anyway, me too. I like the yellow and black ones too. So, we got 3 piles. Pick your pile. And remember, guys, if you enjoy this reading, there are many ways that you can support this channel, and I am definitely grateful for each one of them. Liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, leaving timestamps, donations, hitting the little super thanks button, making purchases. All of those things are great ways that you can support this channel and what I do here. So, and for some reason, I completely forgot to do the good things about you cards. So we're going to grab those as we're doing it. I think this is the right bag. We're going to make sure this is the right bag, though, because I am intentionally doing this one to focus on the good things, and that's what I want to do today, is kind of separate the two out a little bit this week. So, okay, now I got the right bag. And pile 1. Let's see, for you, what is the good tea about you? Pile 1. Happy Thoughts book. Let's see what the good tea is about you, pile 1. All these little owls here. You have a lot of wisdom. You share a lot of that wisdom, and you also have no problem learning and growing from others as well. My riches consist not in the extent of my possessions, but in the fewness of my wants. First, I'm going to say there is absolutely nothing wrong with wanting something, because some of us have to learn that it's okay to want things. But people definitely have a lot of good things to say about how content you are with very little. That your worldly possessions, kind of like the cover of this book getting eaten off by Miss Angel over here. She really wasn't in trouble very long. Your possessions aren't the most important thing to you. The people around you, the animals around you, your loved ones, even a stranger is probably going to be a little bit more important to you than your possessions 9 times out of 10. People mean so much more than the things that we can buy or collect. Animals mean so much more than that. And there's definitely a lot of people talking about how you are somebody who really views the world in that way. You're like a wish come true to somebody in particular as well. They feel like you bring their entire life up. Somebody may be looking into the details of something as well. There may be something that you don't know about, and somebody may actually be looking into the details of it, kind of going through it with a fine-tooth comb or a magnifying glass over here. And they may be really inspecting things, trying to understand what may be going on, because you've mentioned a few things that kind of has them wondering what's up and what they can do to help in the situation. Somebody may really love the way that you eat. You could be somebody who eats a lot. When you eat and you like make noise while you're eating, and when you're cooking, you'll eat. You really love food. You may really love many different types of food and trying a lot of new foods as well. You have a very hearty appetite. And at the same time, I feel like you still take care of yourself for the most part, a lot of you. At times you may overindulge. And some of you, you could just really like to indulge because, you know, hey, we aren't going to live forever and we might as well enjoy what's here while we have it. This flower was the rose that I picked that smells extremely good. God, it smells good. It is like almost addictive to sit here and sniff this flower. It smells so amazing. So people may say that you smell very good as well. So you may not have very much. Some of you could live in a fair amount of poverty, or some of you may even travel a lot and you may live mostly in your vehicle. You could live in an RV or a camper trailer and you may not have a lot of amenities when it comes to that. And yet somehow you still manage to take care of yourself and keep yourself clean and looking good, smelling good. People love your singing as well. Your singing may bring people a lot of calm, a lot of peace. You may put a lot of babies to sleep with your voice. Splish, splash, I was taking a bath. All about a Saturday night. That duck always makes me think of that. Rub-a-dub, I jump back in the tub. Some of you could be some of those people who have had some dealings with people who have done some things that are not so great and may have found out about something in particular, or you just know too much in some way. That could be what this looking at things thing is about too. 744. People are speaking about how you have defended yourself in a certain situation as well. You stood up for yourself. You stood up for your boundaries. You stood up for what you felt was right as well. Maybe you defended somebody that people didn't think that you would defend because of how they hurt you, because they may have hurt you in some sort of way. Or it even could just be that maybe you were with this person at one point in time, but you're no longer with them, although you are cherishing the friendship and trying to keep that bond in a good way. 42. You're celebrating a lot at this time. You've built a very strong foundation in some of your friendships, and this is a very good reason for you to celebrate as well. There might actually even be some people that you have kind of pulled to your side in some way when it comes to a disagreement, because of your integrity, because of your morals, because of your values, and because how you appreciate people even when things don't work out the way that you want them to. You are able to see the bigger picture. So once again with Star, your communication brings hope, it brings joy, it brings optimism, it brings people abundance as well. You lift people's vibrations and you make them feel good. You may be somebody that there might be one or two, maybe a few more virgins here as well. And if you're not, you're just somebody that doesn't necessarily give everybody access to your body. Even if you do have partners and past histories, sex-wise, you are not somebody that's sleeping with someone new every week. We'll just put it that way. And you know what? Those people, their sins are no worse than yours. Because They have their own trauma too that they're working through. There are a lot of people out there that have some form of sexual addiction. And if you think it's rough to see it or hear about it, or, you know, have a partner who has something like that going on, be that person. California, San Francisco, Los Angeles. So, some of you may have very different viewpoints as well on certain situations that are going on in the world, and you express those. You shift people's perspectives a lot. You're very unconditionally loving too, because unconditional love. Like I was saying before, you would definitely be the type of person who would tell somebody, you know, look, I just want to know whether or not you feel the same about me. If you do not want to be with me like I want to be with you, then I want to be with somebody who wants to be with me as much as I want to be with them anyway. And I want you to be able to be happy regardless of whether or not it's with me, because you deserve to be happy. You have a tendency to try to really focus on the good aspects of people, even when the situation is not the best, and even when they are not performing to their best. Because you know that everybody at times has dark moments and hurt and pain creeping up. And it can cause us to act in ways that are not the best at times, and not to the highest of our abilities or capabilities. Stained glass window. The views you have are extremely different. When people are around you, they feel like they are seeing things in color for the first time. And it's a beautiful masterpiece that you paint as this world that we live in. It could be something to do with, what are those things called? With the, where it's got like the little barn looking structure, and it's got the almost windmill looking thing inside the water where it turns the water. I can't think of what those are called at all. But you twist and turn people's emotions. You get people's emotions going again. You pull out their emotions. And you kind of mix them up and stir them up in a good way that really brings them to life again. Imagine all the people living in peace. What would that be like? You give people hope to actually believe in amazing things like that being able to happen. There could actually be some of you who have ran in pageants before as well, because it kind of reminds me of like the Miss Universe, you know, that's always like, what is your biggest wish? I wish for world peace. Miss Congeniality's coming to mind too. So there could be kind of a tomboyish side of you as well. Bingo. B-I-N-G-O. B-I-N-G-O. You could be very good with kids in this pile as well. That's the second child song I've sang, and now I'm thinking about Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Oh, I like this one. I'm a little coconut sitting in a cocoa rut. Somebody came and stepped on me. That is why I'm cracked, you see. I'm a nut in a rut, nut rut. My mom used to sing that to us all the time when I was a kid. And you know what? I didn't even really think about what it actually meant until more recently. And it's hilarious because I'm a little coconut sitting in a cocoa rut. Somebody came and stepped on me. And that's why I'm cracked, you see. We all go a little crazy sometimes. Usually it's because of being hurt in some way or some sort of pain. And it can cause a wide array of emotions to go with it. But that's what the root is. It's that pain. And sometimes it gets you stuck in a rut too because of it. Nice. I worked with children most of my life. The last 3 years, I've been around children less than I have in my entire life. Although I've had a lot of more adult children. That child part of people that I've worked with a lot. And working with children, believe it or not, gives you the ability to work with adults better too, when you're okay with the fact that I feel like most of this pile is the type of person that's like, you know, you don't have to raise them. Well, excuse me. Who's going to raise them? The people around us. Who's going to raise them if somebody doesn't? And who's going to raise us if somebody doesn't? And you know what I mean? It takes a community to raise a child, right? And a lot of times, a lot of the adults in this world, especially today, because of the lack of, you know, that actual raising going on in the households, at least in this country, because of both parents having to work in order to be able to provide for their family. It has really taken a lot of that raising away. And so a lot of them really didn't learn a lot of the things they could have when they were younger, because their parents were busy, or there was a lot of them that were single at that point too, things like that. And there was a lot of strain on the household. We had the recession in 2009. I mean, there's a lot of different things that play into that. And sometimes people didn't learn something when they were younger. We didn't either. We learn new things every day, right? And some people learned those things when they were 7. But we didn't. And sometimes we learned things when we were 7 and they didn't. I think you get into a lot of conversations like that as well in this pile. You always know what's up. No one ever fools you. Even if you play along at times, in the end you knew. And you were working to expose the fake. You were so real. And I could never hope to love myself enough to remove this mask. 'Cause I'm real. Jennifer Lopez. That song's been playing a few times over the past couple weeks. Movie night with you is the best. And you know what, this this interest, or this person that's interested in you romantically, I'm feeling like as well, this may be somebody that you're quite unsure about at this point too. Like, they really have a lot of good things to say to you and things like that. But so far their walk hasn't really matched up with their talk. Although they do seem to be trying to pull that together better in some way, because they feel like you are worth it. They feel like you're worth putting in that extra effort. And at the same time, they should be doing it for them too. Movie night with you is the best. There's always snacks, blankets, and comfortable energy. Plus, you never mind if we crash after. There could be multiple people that are interested in you romantically as well. And this could be one that is actually like an ex. Somebody that you have dated. Somebody that you spent a fair amount of time with. 83. 33. This could be somebody that you really got along with very well. You both kind of respected each other's need for that freedom and space, and at the same time you both prioritized each other and came together to be around each other. And this could be part of the reason as well that you're not ready to move forward, is because you may possibly still have some emotions for somebody as well that you're working out. Some of you may still have that hope to manifest things back together. It may have been a very amicable splitting of ways. It may have been like a blurred lines situation, and you told him what you wanted, but you were still kind of in that blurred line situation. So you were just like, okay, you know what? I'm out. And I need some space for a bit, or goodbye, or whatever, because you just needed to be away from it so that you could get yourself together. And, you know, that self-love is something that they are enjoying a lot as well, even if it does hurt, because I feel like they're hurting a lot. You are very connected and in tune with what's real and what's right. You never hesitate to stand up for what's right. Your passion is so fiery. It is amazing to watch. If you have ever made a very impassioned speech in front of people or to people about their actions, their behaviors, if you've ever had to step into that mom energy and just been like, you know what? This is exactly what I think about this, and you know it's true. You don't even have anything to say right now, and that's because I'm right. And you have not been treating me okay, and that is not something I'm going to deal with. Or whatever, you know. That was kind of a... I've never actually had a speech quite like that one. But I was trying to leave it a little more... It could be any kind of speech. Because it could be. It could be that your children may have a phone. And they may be required to answer everything that the one parent sends them. And then the other parent... they never answer at all, and they're not required to, because that would be forcing things on them or something along those lines. But anyway, if their phone is to be able to keep in contact with their parents, then they should be keeping in contact with both their parents. Or it could be something along the lines of, you've been staying somewhere with someone and you have been putting in a lot of effort, a lot of energy, a lot of time to help people heal, because you are a very strong healer. And I feel like that's a lot of what your value is and your energy is that you have to give at this time. And people may not accept that as a valuable energy to give. And they may be a little more obsessed or focused on money. And so you may have had some disagreements before where people jumped down your throat and told you were taking advantage of them and threw you out of their place, or whatever the case may be. And you might have actually stood there and told them that, you know what? No, I have been putting in just as much as you, at least. And it is not okay that you're acting this way. I really enjoyed our friendship while we had it. I enjoyed being here. I enjoyed the things that you did for me, and I thank you for them. But I did a lot for you too. And then walking away and not looking back. Because guess what? Those people did not value you or appreciate you the way that they should have. So you're okay with just moving away from that energy. So those are some of the things that people are saying that are really good about you. And wow, this reading is going a little bit longer than I was thinking it was gonna, but that's okay. That's the other reason I like doing the live ones too, though, because I can go a little bit longer if I need to, instead of worrying about how long it is and how long it's going to take to upload it and all that kind of stuff. Two of Swords, King of Cups, the Chariot. Make the sacrifice and protect the wild and green. So messed up phone or not, I still enjoy some of those aspects about it, because there's some good and bad things about everything. Make the sacrifice. You are someone who chooses to make that sacrifice for what's important to you. You also will sacrifice your pride and ego. Generally, when you have a decision to make, you are at peace with sacrificing your pride and your ego, tapping into your heart energy and expressing your emotions without fear of what the results are going to be, without fear that they aren't going to feel the same, and without your emotions changing just because they don't. You have a lot of love to give. You're a very emotionally intelligent person, a very emotionally aware person, and you're very balanced in that energy as well. Some people may also say that you are very good at being able to detach a little bit, that at times you can come off as a little bit stoic. They also say that you listen very well as well. Although sometimes you may get very excited, and so you may just be in a very speaking mood. You're somebody who has tapped in, tuned in to both your shadow and your light side. And that is also the reason why you don't judge other people by their shadow side so much, or even by their light side. You like to see a whole picture painted out. Instead of wearing rose-colored glasses or shit-colored glasses, you wear reality glasses, where everything is a bit of both. Everything. And this is what helps you to be able to move forward at the end of the day. It helps you to be able to go after what you want. It helps you to be able to detach when it's necessary. It helps you to be able to love people from afar, even when bad things have happened between you. People also may talk about how much you step out to defend the earth and the animals and the plants and also the wild side inside of. Because you know what? In most places and around most people, humans are extremely leashed these days. Extremely leashed. They're on some fucking leash trying to mind every manner that they have and really killing all of their personality by shoving half of themselves in a box to make everyone around them happy. Because we were all taught to do that. And we were taught that some things were really important when really they're not that important. There's some other things that are more deep that are a little bit more important, and you focus on those things. So there's a lot of people really saying some very amazing things about you and your energy. And also about how you tend to reciprocate the things that are coming your way. You tend to give back for what people give to you in whatever way you can. And you also have a lot of people who have realized how much you have given to them that are really trying to figure out and think about what they can do to thank you for the transformations you brought into their life and the way that you help them to see their health. There's been a few times I have stopped talking to mine. And, you know, she isn't going to change. That doesn't mean I don't love her. And at some point she won't be here. I haven't been talking to her a whole lot lately, but I've talked to her a little bit lately. Because I decided to make that choice before it was taken from me. Somebody that at the same time we'll never fully accept ourselves if we don't accept them. Kind of like when I tell people that when you have kids with somebody, you're hating the other parent, or people around them are hating the other parent, speaking badly on them, looking down on them, doing things that are really dirty to them, and including you in it. How much do you think that messes them up? Because we are all half our parents. We're half of each of them. I mean, we have some of our own in there too, and we morph it and change it and shift it and grow. But that's what they did too when they left their parents. The same things we're doing. They worked on the things that they felt like were really important, that they really needed to change and transform to be a better parent than theirs were, 9 times out of 10. It doesn't mean they're going to be perfect though, and they're still going to do some really stupid, fucked up, retarded shit sometimes. The first time I recontacted her again recently, we were talking for about 20 minutes, and then she started saying some shit, and I was like, you know what, Mom? I was having a really good day. And I'm not really having a very good day anymore, so I'm just going to let you go. And this is exactly why I don't really like to talk to you very much. And she's like, no, wait. And then the conversation changed. And honestly, at moments, I really do think through the sadness and pain probably they're feeling in those moments, because I know I do with my kids at times. I really do think that they are proud of us too, for stepping up and owning that, for defending ourselves, for fighting for what we believe in, for having that same fire and passion that they had that nobody else could tame either. Good evening to you too, beautiful. Glad you're doing good. I'm doing pretty good myself today. Every day has some of both. So that's what I have for pile 1, guys. And if you guys enjoyed this, remember to support my channel in the ways that you can. I really appreciate it so much. It helps me out so much more than you guys know. It helps to increase what I'm pulling in finance-wise so that I can take care of myself. It also helps to be able to spread these messages to other people so they can hear them. And some of the ways you can do that is through liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, leaving text. Those are great ways you can do that. And I really thank you guys for my one free question session as well. I'll probably be doing it sometime around 8 or 9 in the evening Mountain Time. That way I can make sure it has cooled down a bit. A friend of mine recently made me a light that I can hook to a battery and I can use pretty much anywhere. And so I will be able to light up my vehicle while we're doing that reading, which is really nice because for a long time I did not have bright enough lights to do it at night without it being in dark. Yeah, I kind of lived in the 18th century the last couple of years, except for my phone, for the most part. Brittany from St. Louis, huh? St. Louis, Missouri? My ex has a niece named Brittany. So, pile 2 for you guys. What are the good things that people have to say about you? We're going to grab some of these good messages too, because I actually forgot to pull some out before I started this today. And there are a couple bad messages that get mixed in here once in a while, but I'm kind of hoping they're going to give us that break today and just let us have these happy thoughts. I'm doing good. Mostly good. Had to get a new number for my storage shed this morning because someone, pretty sure I know who, took my storage combination out of my glove box. So my RV is in storage this week. I put it in storage because with it not running, it is too much of a burden to be moving constantly and all the harassment from people because I want to sleep in a bed. Yeah, so it's in storage for a little bit, possibly the whole summer. And that way I can also take a couple trips as well. I don't got to worry about where it's at. My cats are kind of staying at a friend's house currently. One of them's going to stay there permanently because they really formed a very strong bond. And, you know, if I'm going to keep picking up random animals everywhere, I need to start giving some of them away, right? Yeah, I could see that. So, pile 2, the good things people are saying about you. Somewhere something incredible is waiting to be known. Since I was talking about traveling just a second ago, some of you guys could be people who really enjoy traveling. You may be kind of a gypsy in some ways. This is a ferret too. So you could be very quick-witted, very light on your feet. You could be somebody who's very fit as well. Some of you might be a little bit cheeky, mischievous, since I was talking about the storage code going missing. Occasionally, there might be a little bit of like you might actually be able to like pickpocket somebody without them even knowing. Not saying that you do it on a regular basis or anything. I'm just saying, you know, you might have some skills when it comes to being able to lift things in some way. Ooh, bunnies are so adorable. People may compliment you on your fertility in some way as well, or your growth in some way. I'm going to cool this down for a second, guys, so I don't end up with the comments shutting off on us. Intermission, where we can listen to the white noise cleanse our energy. So, yeah, people definitely see you as somebody very intelligent as well. And they may see you as somebody who's a very sexual being. Use what talent you possess. The woods would be very silent if no birds sang except those that sang the best. Exactly. And you know what? There have been so many people around me that have said something about, oh my God, you paint so amazing. I wish I could do that. You could. Hard work, for one thing, hard work beats talent any day. But for another thing, I've practiced for like 7 years on acrylics alone. I worked with some watercolor before that. I did a lot of painting projects when I was a kid, things like that. So I've been doing it a very long time, kind of like psychology. So you could have some things that you are very good at, but there's also some things that you are good at and you could do better in, that you really would like to do better in, that people are like, hey, do them anyway. It doesn't matter if you're good at it, you can get better at it. Like, say you go in somewhere and you play a game of pool and you haven't played in 15 years, or, you know, you may not be the best dancer, but who cares? Have some fun. And maybe you're somebody who encourages people to do that a lot. 11, again, and 8. Some of you could be born in November. So that would be Scorpio. You might be a bit mysterious. A little death. A menage a trois. Yeah, people definitely find you to be extremely sexual, extremely sexy. They definitely feel the passionate energy exuding off of you. Some of you, if you're not looking to have that running as high when people are around, make sure that you are taking time for your passions as well. You may be somebody who enjoys a very healthy sex life as well. You don't really feel a whole lot of shame over who you are sexually or what you enjoy sexually, and you make people feel extremely comfortable being themselves in that way too, or even talking about those subjects. People feel like they could come to you and they could ask about those kinds of things, which includes, if you have children, which includes your children, because I was just thinking about my oldest daughter asking me about some of those things recently, and I was explaining to her what they were, probably in more detail than she really loved, especially since her friend was standing there too. But I feel like they should be aware of those things and they should know about those things. It shouldn't be things that are hidden in the dark. It shouldn't be things that are uncomfortable or things that are shameful or things that they should worry about so much, because it really affects their enjoyment in life in general, to be weighed down by that. And also, if you want them to be able to talk to you about situations where they felt uncomfortable, or come to you and ask you for advice about what they should do in certain situations when people are acting certain ways, what best way to handle it or address it, things like that, or even tell you about things that have happened that aren't okay, then you got to be able to talk to them in a comfortable fashion and manner about all of that stuff. And so I feel like people are definitely saying that you're very good at doing that. Some of you could even be a counselor as well. Magic out of a hat. You're a fucking diamond, baby. Shine bright like a diamond. Bite my tongue, bide my time, wearing a warning sign. Wait till the world is mine. So people could actually be talking about what you're manifesting into your life too. You may have dealt with some player energies. You may have dealt with some extremely sexist people around you. You could have dealt with some people messing with you in some way, possibly even gossiping about you behind the scenes, or talking about you in very vulgar ways or things like that. There could have even been some people at some point that were talking about your sex life or claiming certain things about your sex life that weren't true. There might have been somebody here who somebody tried to say you had an STD, or there might have been somebody here where somebody could have tried to say that you were selling yourself or things like that. I've gone through some of that myself as well. People are shocked by your ability to stand up for yourself. You may appear to be, because of your kindness or your love or your joy or your positive vibrations or even your small stature, or, you know, something about you. Maybe you're very cute or very, very adorable or kind of like childlike in a way. So, you know, predators, a lot of times they're looking for that energy, right? But when it comes down to it, you are not that child they thought they saw. You are a full-grown person, and you will put up your hand and you will say stop. And I fucking meant it. You make one more fucking move, and that's it. Maybe people are also shocked and discussing the way that you handled a certain situation involving that as well. Where you addressed someone very publicly and made sure to let them know exactly what you thought about them, how you felt about the situation, and what you will be doing in the future if anything happens again like that. People are also talking about the warnings. Some people might have actually gotten some warnings as well, not to mess with you in some sort of way. Because like magic, that karma falls on their heads. Or also because a lot of people end up really enamored with you and they fuck it up and then spend their time pining after you in some way. There could even be some thieves that you've dealt with as well that have stolen from you, and they were warned multiple times to stop. They're about to be blown away. People have seen what has happened to people who have done that to you in the past, and they're like, oh, you messed with some fire. I always like to play with fire. Me too, but not in that way. So, this is a weed, I'm pretty sure, but God, this flower was so pretty when it was sitting there, and I was like, wow, that is a beautiful flower. It's amazing how many things that we consider weeds, and why do we consider them that? I think it's because they just grow anywhere and everywhere, and you can't control them or tame them. People can't control you. They can't tame you. 404, the error code 404. It's like, error, I don't even know what to do now. Because they can't control you. They can't control what you're doing, where you're going, who you're with, who you talk to. They can't control what you do anywhere at any time. Say you're a submissive type of person in the bedroom, you're still the one in control at the end of the day, because you are the one who says whether or not it's happening. And you are somebody who has had to go through a lot to get to this level of confidence and stability and strength. You've had to fight these battles over and over and over again to find what works the best. You have gained a lot of wisdom, a lot of knowledge, and a lot of understanding about the dynamics of people, or the games that they play, or also the idea that humans are opportunists and they're going to take what you allow them to take. Not to mention the fact that nobody knows what respect actually is to you until you tell them. And a lot of times, they like to get away with the accountability thing because you didn't tell me that it wasn't okay, which is really funny. Because after the telepathic conversation I had with somebody about how I already know how to say no, but when you know that I'm saying no, whether I spoke it out loud or not, it should stop instantly anyway. Because I know that you know too. And she knows. And I know she knows. I know she knows. 47. 46. So there are also some exes that are talking extremely good about you as well. You may actually have some people that are stepping up to the plate to defend you in some sort of way. A rose by any other name still smells as sweet. And you know what's funny? Even though this ain't a rose, we got thorns on it. I just noticed those thorns. Every rose has its thorn, just like every night has its dawn, just like every cowboy sings a sad, sad song. Every rose has its thorns. 57. So, you have learned a lot through the things you've had to go through in your life. You're a very patient person. You have a lot of faith. You plant a lot of seeds. You nurture them. You care for them. You're very loving, generous, kind. But you do not put up with bullshit. I'm the little homie all the G's want to be like on my knees in the night saying prayers in the street light. Keep spending most our lives living in a gangster's paradise. So that movie, what is the name of that movie? Dangerous Minds is coming to mind right now. She was a teacher who worked at a school that was in a very poverty-ridden area with a lot of the bad kids that are just lost causes that, nobody really cares about. I can't live a normal life. I was raised by the hood, so I gotta be down with, I was raised by the street, so I gotta be down with the hood team. Too much television watching got me chasing dreams. I'm an educated fool with money on my mind. So, you have talked a lot of people out of a lot of really bad decisions, I feel like, too. You've kind of made them stop and think for a second on whether or not it was really worth it. Help them to come to reason. You may be somebody who is very good at ending disagreements or arguments, at being able to really bring people back to a better energy again. You're good at shifting energy, transmuting energy. You're good at healing in general. And especially when it comes to sexual energy or emotional energy. There's many different kinds of healings, and you definitely do a lot of sexual and emotional healing. Paris. For some reason, Aristocats just came into my mind with George, whatever his name is, when they're dancing and the record machine is going. People could be thinking about dancing with you, or you could have danced with people. People may be commenting on how well you dance. You may think that you don't dance very good, but you dance very well. Or you may be very shy about dancing in public or around people a whole lot. This could actually be something that stems from the things you went through to get to that sexual confidence you have now. Kind of like, when people layer on the clothing. God has given you one conception, and you make yourselves another. Look at your life through heaven's eyes. You know what he forgave him for? When they're singing that song in The Prince of Egypt, Moses had left his family behind. He had left the evil and the atrocities that he had just uncovered behind. He had never really seen them clearly before, even though he had participated in some of them. Once he realized that that his family were part of the people that they were hurting, that was when all of a sudden the illusion shattered and everything came crashing down. And he decided no amount of pleasures, no amount of anything of the sort could ever possibly cause him to unsee what he has seen and turn his back on doing what's right. Although he wasn't to the doing what's right yet, because at that point he was to the go die in the desert somewhere. And he ends up at this well, and he's getting water, and then this girl's trying to get water, and these guys are harassing her. And he ends up saving her. And this is the second time he saved her, because technically, when he finally decided to leave after finding out the stuff he found out, and he was still kind of reeling from it, when this slave girl was dragged into his brother for his brother to decide if he wanted to better or give her away to somebody else, and he chose to give her to him. So he took her to his room and then just helped her escape, basically. And so he's still over here hating himself. And he ends up back at camp. And her father's there. And he's offering to help him, basically. Offering to bring him in and, be a part of our family. And he's like, I haven't done anything in my life deserving of that. There he is hating himself and thinking he's the most awful person on the planet. And then this guy starts singing this song. A single thread in the tapestry, though its color brightly shines, doesn't know its purpose in the pattern of the grand design. He explained to him, you saved my daughter's life, not once, but twice. And you don't feel like that is deserving of praise? You don't feel like that's deserving of a reward of some kind? Because it is. And you need to look at your life from heaven's eyes. You'll never be able to see your value or your worth by looking at it from that earthly perspective. You have to take that flight up to the sky where the hawks are and look down on everything and the fine details of it to notice just how much you mean in this world to other people. Those are the things that you help people understand about themselves. That yes, they have that dark side, and yes, they have done some awful things, because every human on this planet has at some point. You don't act like you're better than anybody. You're a very humble person. You're a very kind person. Always stay humble and kind. Somebody might actually listen to that song when thinking about you. 87. There could even be somebody that you could have come out of a very long-term relationship, and it could have been kind of messy at one point. And you could have had a messy situation with someone. And this someone could have lied to you. Could have been dealing with a very strong sexual addiction. There could have been a lot of things going on. And even with all of that, you have still found a way to see their light side and try to convince them that they have one when you come into contact with them, if they're still feeling that way. So there's definitely a lot of people from your past in situations that most of the time you would not get a good review from, where they are talking about the good things about you. Because there was enough of that good and that light for them not to get so stuck, caught up, and focused on the bad. The anger was healed. You guys may have talked about it afterwards. There may have been that level of closure to where things were able to be okay. And even if not, they didn't feel slighted by you in some way. There might actually be one or two that want to come back and apologize to you as well, and possibly even give to you for what you've given them, because they may not have seen at the time the value that you offered 5544 in those situations, but they've learned along the way the true value of what you had to offer. They want to celebrate you for your teaching abilities, for your care, your kindness, your love, your empathy when they felt like they deserved none. And they still kind of feel like they deserve none in that moment, because they're still having a hard time reconciling themselves with what they've done, or wrapping their mind around how they could be so cruel. Especially since some of the things that they did to you, they may have really judged people in the past, from their past, very harshly for doing the same things. My ex, there's a very good reason why he has a hard time taking accountability for some of the things he did with me. Because those were some of the things that he hated the most about his dad. And those were some of the things that he fought against the most when he was younger. But those were some of the things that he was denying that were a part of himself, because he came from his dad. He was raised that way. He grew up that way. And when we deny those parts and box them away in a closet somewhere in the back, they come out in a much worse way. But that is a part of everybody's healing and evolving. You guys are evolved enough to know that. People are also saying that you're extremely protected on the path that you're taking, because you have chosen to take the path of very few, the path of assisting people when they're alone. When they're alone, unloved, unheard, when they feel voiceless, when people are looking at them like they're the scourge of the earth. You're there to assist them and bring them back up to the light. You unlock people's hearts and you bring music back to their lives. The day the music died, it was a sad day. Black cat protection. There may be somebody from your past as well. A couple people from your past, 57, 87, 58. There may be a few people in your life that really do as well feel like it's time that somebody needs to do something to step out there in some form of protection for you in some way. That is very possible. Yes, and we believe and we receive. Good things come our way every day. Watermelon. And there could be some people that had some pretty bad intentions for you as well. And people watched how protected you were in those situations. You're walking a very strong path of faith. And you're an inspiration to a lot of people. Because not a lot of people can put their fear aside strongly enough to be able to do what you're doing. You know, that happens sometimes. People just want to make sure you're okay. That just means they love you. It really does. It just means they love you, and they don't know what they can do, but it seems like you've got a lot going on, and they're offering that help and that assistance. You know how we always end up with takers around us? It's because we say no when they offer that help and assistance. If you need someone to talk to them. It's not that you need to stop telling people your business. It's just that you need to not care anymore what they have to say about it, what they think about it, what people's opinions are about it, whether or not they know, because who cares? And it's hard to not care, honestly, but at the end of the day, that's the only way we can be authentic too. We're not being authentic if we're hiding everything, right? But as you let that go a little bit, and it can be really hard, especially if you've dealt with anything narcissistic in the past, or anything with bullying in the past, or anything with being made fun of on a regular basis, it can really cause you to worry, or people spreading malicious rumors, lies, and gossip. It can cause you to be very hesitant to share. But that's also how they're able to spread those lies and have people believe them, because people don't know who you are. When you spread your truth and you speak about the things that you're going through and how you're feeling and what you're doing in your life, then people aren't left to guess, and they aren't left to listen to whatever George over there is saying. Instead, they're realizing that you're very different than what they said you were. That's how you end that. That's how the other people are exposed for the lies they've been telling, for the nasty actions they've been taking. It's because you learn how to express yourself, so people get a chance to see the real you, and they get that glimpse of you, and they're like, oh wait, no way. There is absolutely no way that this person did what they were saying. And some of them might even ask you. Some of them might even confront those people. Some of them could be feeling pretty bad for this pile, or bad at this time about what they did to this pile, simply because they may have believed some of those things and then found out later that that person was jealous or envious, or that that person was angry with them or felt betrayed by them, or that person was just trying to get revenge in some way. But see, that's where the exposure is coming in. So people also feel like you really bring things back to life as well. People could be discussing a reconciliation that has happened in your life, or a renewal of a friendship of some sort, and it brings them hope for the connections or situations in their life they're going through. People are talking about the light you bring to this world as well. Once again, when people are in a dark place, people are talking about your strength in being able to deal with what you dealt with. And in the Five of Pentacles on most decks, there's two people there. There isn't even two people here. There's this one person by themselves, freezing cold in the winter, holding a candle up to their hands to stay warm. That's about what my winter was a couple years ago. You were left in the cold with no support, no care, no nurturing, no love, no concern. Probably because of the lies of somebody that people looked up to. Somebody that was in a high position of authority, or somebody that people thought had a lot of integrity. Somebody that people thought was a real leader. Somebody that they thought would make the best decisions for everyone involved, but never actually made any real decisions anyway, because I feel like you were the one making the decisions in the background. This person just claimed credit for all of your decisions. And when you finally left them to make a decision, they couldn't make a decision to save their lives. And then they ended up making the decision of destroying you, because people were starting to see some cracks there, and they wanted to make sure that those cracks didn't become more visible. But as soon as this pile learns how to express themselves more fully as well to more people, that doesn't mean you've got to be friends with everybody. You still got your close circle of closer friends where you express a bit more to. And what I do for work, oh, that's really bad. And what I do for work, I don't even know how they got something in my water this time. I don't even remember leaving it alone. Well, I left it in alone while I was at the storage place, but yeah, nobody got to it then. Anyway, but I need to quit drinking it. So, people are amazed at your strength. And people actually really look up to you as well. People find you to be extremely confident, stable. You're a rock in hard times. Like a rock. Some of you may have a Ford, or somebody talking about you may. Maybe. Could be misery loves company. So, everybody loves company though. Okay, not everybody. In a moderated sense. You're very strong. You make decisions very efficiently. You're very honest as well, very vocal about your beliefs. You stand up for what you feel is right too. You work extremely hard. You have a very high work ethic. But whatever you're working on may be something that's a long-term project, or it may be something that just does not bring you a whole lot of finances, but it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with something that's higher than that. And people are also talking about the abundance that you're getting ready to come into. They're talking about the lessons that you've learned along the way and the knowledge and wisdom you've shared with others. And they're talking about how in the past, you didn't have much in the way of self-esteem, confidence, stability. You didn't have any friends, family, anything really. It was like this orphan person. And kind of like a wild animal. Because wild animals, if you notice, when they're left to fend for themselves like that, they get a little desperate sometimes, or they get a little aggressive, or things like that. That could be that energy that people aren't expecting from you sometimes too, is that aggressive energy, where you will aggressively put yourself out there and put somebody in their place if they need to be, if you feel like they are disrespecting you in some way. Huh. Asking about the same pain. So embrace the feminine and trust in magic. 10 and 7. Once again with the children thing too, some of you could have children. You're very compassionate with them, very nurturing, caring, very comforting and loving. Somebody may actually be saying how beautiful you look when you're pregnant, or when you're about to give birth in some way. And this could be giving birth to an actual baby, but I feel like for a lot of you, it's going to be giving birth to this new life and the beauty in it. Giving birth to your throne and then sitting on it. To your kingdom. Castle by Halsey. Good song for this moment. People are talking about your reciprocal energy. Your memory. You're very good at remembering things when people do things for you. You generally have a habit of giving back as well. You notice and pick up on things that a lot of people don't. You're very sharp. The lost Lenore is coming to mind again. Nevermore. Some people could really be very sad at the loss of you. There might actually be one person in particular that is very introverted, spends a lot of time alone. They may be kind of antisocial, a little paranoid. And they may actually be spending a lot of time like locked inside their house at this time, just really upset about what they have lost out on, kind of beating themselves up, tearing themselves down in some way. And I feel like one of the good things people are saying about you as well is if you knew about this, or if this person came to you to ask for help or seek help in some way, or if they came to you to apologize, if they could get over that ego and that pride enough to be able to, or the fear to be able to come in and apologize to you, you would accept that apology. And you would be able to go back to being friends. And that doesn't mean that you wouldn't still check them on the same shit, but most of the time by that point they've learned their lesson and they're ready for something new. People know that abundance always blossoms from you. Everything you touch turns to gold. Each of these people that you deal with has a tendency to blossom, bloom, and ignite. You have risen up from the darkness time after time. So much strength in such a small package, exactly with the whole your size or how cute you are or how young you are or whatever it is may make people think that you are weaker or you need that protection or you're vulnerable or easy prey or whatever the case may be. And then they are surprised by, holy fuck, look at this fire. This is a fire. And I mean, if she really wanted to, she could burn down this whole forest right here just with that one flame. You are a light in this world, in this dark world. Shine that light always. You have never allowed yourself to be tamed. You've never allowed yourself to be put out. You have never allowed that light to completely die off. Even though you have visited some extremely dark places, you have never let that light completely die off in you. Very fair and truthful. A good leader. A beautiful person with a beautiful heart. Always tries their best and admits when they are wrong. They say they're sorry and they mean it. They follow through with actions. Honestly, I would say give it some space, pull back your energy, get into your own energy. Maybe think about why those things are triggering you. When we're being triggered for a reason. And that means we need to kind of look deeper in it and uncover what that reason is. Because it's less about what they're saying to you and more about how you're taking it. A lot of times there's things that we could be taking badly that people aren't even meaning in a bad way. Kind of like when people are trying to warn you about certain situations, they're not necessarily trying to create anxiety or instill fear, but that's what they do anyway. It is what they do when you allow it. And that's a thing inside of us that needs to kind of be repaired a little bit so that we can be around people. Because everybody is going to push our buttons in some way at some point. Nobody's perfect. And neither are we, so we're going to push people's buttons too. It's all in who's going to stop you from falling from your ladder. This ain't no place for no hero. This ain't no place for no better man. This ain't no place for no hero to call home. It's not about who's there when you're up. It's about who's there when you're down, basically. And you're somebody who's there when people are down. You are an actual, genuine, good friend. And some people have severely messed this up with you because of the hard time that they were in at that point, the darkness they were mired in, kind of like Rashima right now, where she is taking a lot of what's going on with this girl in a bad way. And it may not be, but we might actually sometimes lose out on some really good friendships, or at least not be able to start them for a while and maybe have to come back and repair them. Because when we are hurt or in our darkness or in our pain, it brings those things up. And so you guys are one of the rare people on this earth that understands that and doesn't hate people for that. You have a tendency to believe that anybody who is looking to heal and grow and shift themselves out of that should be given the opportunities, and that you were brought into their life for that reason. Every creature on this earth matters. You have a unique understanding of this. Don't let others convince you any different. George and the Dragon, protect and defend what you feel is important. Remove the stigmas that are thrown at you for your compassion and for your love. Show people what it's like to care. Be yourself, because your true self is amazingly beautiful. Amazingly beautiful. Long ago, far away, things I almost remember, and a song someone sings once upon a December. Somebody could be thinking about singing Christmas carols with you as well. And then there's also this energy of your family misses you. They want you to remember who you are, what you've all been through together, the times that you've all came together for each other and behind each other. Because even though you've had your differences at times, you all have value. And that love needs to come back to life in here. There might even be a passed on loved one that's around you at this time that is trying to get this message across to you that you have in you what they had in them. And now it is your job to carry that on, to keep everything connected, and to help bring peace to the people around you, which is a very big responsibility. And yeah, it sucks that somebody has to do it, but somebody has to do it. And I feel like you guys kind of feel that energy anyway. So that's what I got for you guys, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this reading. I would love to hear what you guys thought about it, whether or not it resonated, what you got going on, things like that. And if you guys enjoyed this reading, remember to support this channel in the ways you can through commenting, liking, subscribing, leaving timestamps and donations. Hit the little super thanks button or the super chat button. All those things really help me out so much, you guys. I do got stuff I got to take care of for me too, and so your support really does mean the world to me, because it helps me to be a bit more comfortable in doing this by being able to support myself, as I'm here to support others on their paths. 88 777. Thank you, beautiful, and you're welcome, sweetheart. So let's see. Thank you for your support and encouragement all these years. So, pile 3. What good things are people saying about you? People may be talking about how dark you are in a way. How dark your sense of humor is as well. You may have some dark tastes. Some of you could wear a lot of black. You may wear some heavy makeup or dark makeup. However you do your makeup, your hair, your clothes, all of that put together is something that people really love. They're very drawn to it, very attracted to it. Temptation. You embrace your darkness very fully. Some of you might have had a harder time embracing your light at times. You are very magnetic. You draw in a lot of love. You draw in a lot of fun and enjoyment. You may draw in a lot of games from people too at times. 78. The sky is crying. Can't you see them tears roll down the street? You may be somebody who really loves the blues or jazz. You may listen to a lot of sad music a lot of times. When you are sad, people can feel it. It's like a rain cloud has descended on the world. It almost shifts the energy of the world around you into a more sad place. People may be talking about how you've been able to go through a lot of depression in your life and how you have been able to pull yourself out of it. Some people are saying that you feel like a gift in their life as well. You may have helped a lot of other people pull themselves out of this depression as well, because of the wisdom you gained and being able to go down this path yourself. I feel like some of the people who chose this pile too might have actually chosen all of the piles. Let it go, let it go. Can't hold me back anymore. I don't care what they're going to say. The cold never bothered me anyway. So people are so amazed at the power that you have stepped into. The ability you have had of being able to detach from other people's thoughts, opinions, ideas, beliefs about you, and how you have been able to be yourself regardless of what anybody has to say about it. And that is what has mainly caused you to be able to pull yourself up out of the sadness. Because when people are not able to be themselves, or when people are weighed down by the judgments of others, or the opinions or beliefs of others, or the cruel words that they may whisper to somebody else that they didn't realize you heard, or the lies that you blatantly tell to their face while standing there trying to pretend to be a friend. 78 again. There could be a sibling too. That you've been able to remove yourself from that. That energy no longer affects you in the way that it did in the past. I feel like you were like this once upon a time too. Some of you definitely could have picked pile number 2 with me singing Once Upon a December over there too. Sometime in the faraway, long ago, forgotten past, you may have been this way. And then something very dramatic or traumatic happened in your life. You may have lost everyone that you loved or cared about. You may have had some very traumatizing deaths in your life. You may have dealt with some extremely harsh betrayals from people that you gave more trust than you ever gave anybody in your life. You could have dealt with somebody who scapegoated you and blamed you for the entire situation that happened and distorted every detail of it so it came off like you in some way were responsible for everything bad that ever happened, and they were an angel. 78 again. And people in your heart, which is one of the things that you have accepted, that has allowed you to accept the fact that you can love someone but not need to be around them if all they're going to do is hurt you. I also feel like there have been people since then that you have been around that have hurt you, that you have addressed in new ways with the new wisdom that you have, that have actually flipped things around and flipped the script and flipped it so strongly that a lot of people are talking about how amazing the work that you did with this person was. So if you guys are doing some sort of spiritual work in this pile, people are definitely talking about how beneficial it is, how amazingly it works, and what a beautiful gift you are to this world with all the love in your heart. And yes, you may be somebody who, when you're extremely sad, can just completely transform the entire room into a depression zone. But also, when you're extremely happy and a smile is lighting your face, and you have a bounce in your step, and you're shining brightly, the entire room is shining brightly too. If I'm shining, everybody gonna shine. I was born like this, don't even gotta try. Heard you say I'm not the baddest bitch alive. And I feel like people really just got another thing coming too when they try to say anything bad about you anymore. In the past, they may have gotten away with it, but this is the pile that has already said, fuck it, I don't care. You've taken off those masks. You've started talking to people very frankly about what's going on instead of feeling like you have to hide it away. When you're abused in certain situations, especially narcissistic situations, they make you feel like the entire world outside of your little circle here is extremely dangerous, bad, awful, hurtful, cruel. And you don't want to trust a single one of those people at all. Make sure you get them before they get you. Make sure you leave before they can fuck you over. You get a lot of trust issues from it. And some of those people are not so much narcissistic as they dealt with a narcissistic parent, or they dealt with a situation when they were a child where the only reason they felt like they were loved because they may have been the favorite child simply because they had absolutely no wants, no needs. They were perfect because they never spoke out about anything. They never made any drama. They never made any complications. So they have judgments on other people when other people are expressing their emotions, their opinions, their wants, their desires, their needs. And they feel like it's a shameful thing to do that or a sinful thing to do that. And so they project that on others. And they do it in ways where they can make you feel like no one will love you if you're not perfect. And when you're always busy trying to be perfect all the time, but never actually getting to be your real self with anybody, and always trying to pretend to be something you're not, it's a very lonely, miserable, and despair-filled world. So I feel like while you were in that energy of depression too, you may have actually been wearing several extra masks over yourself, keeping like a 39.5 foot pole distance between you and everybody around you, because you felt like everybody around you was just out to get you in some sort of way. But you have overcome that, and you've helped other people to be able to break out of the shell a bit too, to release some of that paranoia or that trust issues or the hurt and the pain. You've shined a light on a lot of the things. You've been a flashlight in the dark for people, lighting the way for them to find their way home. Kind of like when the Wizard of Oz tells Dorothy all she has to do is click her shoes and wish that she was at home, because magic is just wanting something and letting yourself have it, right? But if you don't let yourself have it because of the fear that gets in the way, or because of the hurt and the pain or the anger or the sadness or the loss or whatever it may be that gets in the way, eventually you do realize that you are totally self-sabotaging. It's not the easiest thing to deal with. You are really good at steering a ship. People trust you when you're in charge. People trust you as a leader. People trust you to set the course. People may even really value, trust, respect, and appreciate the coursework you provide if you are some kind of teacher, because you may pick very interesting topics, ones they've never thought about, ones they've never delved into, ones that are very emotionally connected to and very emotionally connected to them, because you may be somebody who reads people emotionally extremely well. Strawberry, okay. Strawberry wine, 17, the hot July moon, saw everything, my first taste of love, whoa, bittersweet, green on the vine, like strawberry wine. On my grandpa's farm, I was thirsty for knowledge, and he had a car. So, people could be talking about the summer love they had with you, or people could be talking about that one time they had a romantic experience with you, and how dreamy it was, how it's something that's still on their heart and their mind, how amazing you are as a person, and how much life and vitality and passion you bring in to a situation. Some people may even feel like they've kind of withered and died in a little bit of ways by not having you in their life. What's coming to mind right now is the Beauty and the Beast, where the rose is wilting inside that case, and it's all because he judged somebody by appearances and then was cursed because of it. But he could break the curse anytime he wanted to. He just has to learn how to love and open up again. And that's what you have already gone through, so you know the way for this person to find their way out of it too. And you're leading that way like a guiding star on the ocean. That's how they navigate on the ocean, is through the stars and through the sun. Mostly the stars though, when they don't have, modern technology. Through astrology, astronomy, divination. Through the smell of the air and the feel of the wind. You are somebody that is so intuitive and so connected to the elements around you. People feel like you are the person they would call if they had to make their way through a storm. Transformation. You have transformed so beautifully. You crawled out of that cocoon and everybody was completely shocked because, holy shit, look at how beautiful she is. I thought she was beautiful before, but look at her now. So there might actually be somebody. It might be like your first love, especially if you chose pile 1, 2. It may be your very first love you ever had that may actually be admiring you from afar in some way. Looking at you, watching you, finding out what you're up to, that kind of thing. And they're seeing who you are now. And there's reminiscent things of who you were then. Because those things will always be a part of us. Kind of like you can see your face in your baby picture, but you've changed so much. And this person is like, I thought they were the most amazing person on the planet back then, but holy shit, it's like 10 times better now. It's matured into that fine wine. Women can age like fine wine just like men can. And this person thinks you are fine wine. So if you are up there in age a little bit, I wouldn't even be concerned about that. Some of you might worry about that at times. Women can get a little insecure sometimes when they get older because there are so many men that are so focused on looks that it's ridiculous. There have been moments in my life where I'm like, God, some acid in the face. Yeah. Then I'd know who actually is looking at me because of me and not what's on my face. And not at the same time. But, you know, blessings of having something scarring on your body or a giant birthmark, or there could be people in this pile who have something that they're very insecure about on that front. The good part about that, though, you know who's real. 'Cause I'm real. If they are there wanting to be with you and loving you and telling you, oh my goodness, this scar right here, it looks like a heart and I love it. That person fucking loves you. If they're there to tell you that the hairless wonder of a chest you got as a male is something they love more than anything in the world, because all of a sudden they love it so much because you're insecure about it, then that person loves you. So don't worry about whether or not people love you. Watch their actions, listen to their words, notice and appreciate the ways that they try to show you that they care. And if they are having a hard time showing that they care in ways that make sense to you or ways that don't hurt you, because sometimes that happens, kind of like we were discussing in pile 2, explain some things to them about how things make you feel. Open up and be vulnerable. Let them in. You may have a fucking tidal wave of emotions in there, but there are people that are going to appreciate it even when it comes with bad. If they want the good, if they want that beautiful rose, they have to deal with the thorns too. And really, honestly, your thorns are pretty fucking small in comparison to a lot of people's. You're actually a very agreeable person, and not in a bad sense. You're somebody that can come to a compromise. You're somebody that's very compassionate, empathetic, understanding. You're somebody that people really find to be very peacemaking, very calming, very soothing. Somebody may have watched you rocking a baby and singing to them. And it could have just been like the most perfect picture they've ever seen. Or maybe even working with your children or somebody's children in some way. Getting down to their level. Really relating to them. And being able to gain their full focus. Help them feel good about themselves. They may even be learning from you how to do that as well. If they've been having some sort of parenting problems or discipline problems, or even if they've been having some sort of relationship problems. A lot of these people that are talking about you are talking about how much they learned from you. People are talking about the abundance you create and the abundance that will surely follow you all of your days, that will come to you. If it isn't here yet, it is on its way. That you will be provided for on this journey you're making as a peacemaker who brings abundance and fertility and growth. You see things extremely clearly. You see things with a very true eye. A very true eye. Not... People are talking about how you see this person is an amazing singer. They have an amazing amount of boldness and sassiness and fieriness. And you compliment them on those things. But you also see this person might have a little bit of jealousy or insecurities going on underneath. They may kind of give some biting comments or backbiting comments or backhanded compliments, or they may be maybe they judge people a little too easily or something like that, and you'll mention those things too. And not because you're trying to be rude or you're judging them, you're just like, you might want to think about it this way, because you know that if they have the chance to be able to shift their perspective and decide to do it, they would be much happier. So you care very much about people's well-being, which is also why we have this thing that always reminds me of the Cadius a little bit. It doesn't have the staff with it. I feel like you're a very free-spirited, like floating around person. You are a healer, but you may not be a conventional healer in any way. You're probably not a doctor. You're probably not a nurse. You're probably not a therapist. But you may be those things in an herbal, natural, spiritual way. In a way where you can work with people very differently, to where some people benefit very greatly from therapy and others don't. Others don't benefit from therapy really at all. And it's because there are therapists, a lot of times, are very similar, a lot of them. And they're, a lot of them have been through a lot of things, but a lot of them have not as much, too. A lot of them don't get that more intimate, deep connection when they're talking with their clients either. They're in a more detached energy. They just kind of sit back and allow them to spew. Or a lot of times they're kind of cold or distant. Or a lot of times they could be dressed in a way or have an office that is very uncomfortable to a lot of people, especially people that are in those lower vibrations or are going through a lot of hurt or pain or are experiencing things like poverty or things like that. And so people may feel very self-conscious around them or things like that, where other people may feel very comfortable in that environment. They may feel very at ease in that environment, and they may really just want a place that they can vent, or they may just really want somebody that is not attaching to it emotionally and not getting too involved in it. The more hands-off approach in a way, things like that. There was actually a guy at one point in time I was talking to for about an hour. He came up and asked if I had a cigarette he could borrow and offered a little bit of green in exchange. And I was like, hey, I got some concentrated for him too. And so we sat and talked probably for a good hour and a half. And he's like, you know what's really amazing and yet sad at the same time? I talked to you for the last hour and a half, and you helped me more in the last hour and a half than my therapist did in the last 6 months. If I can afford to purchase a session at some point, I will come back and purchase one. At this time, I really don't have a whole lot of money, but my victim services pays for my therapist. And victim services pays them $160,000 a year for that. So, you have not necessarily chosen the path of money either. You have chosen the path of your heart. You have chosen the path of what's most important to you. And you know what? Nothing against anybody who thinks that money is important and goes after that. There's a lot of people that did not have much of it in their childhood and feel like it would be a better experience with it. And I agree. I do. But sometimes there are things that call to us a little deeper than that. And that's where you are. You're the one following that calling that's a little deeper than that. And you are definitely on your way up in a lot of ways. I think these piles may have just gotten longer as we went. The Wheel of Fortune, the Four of Wands. With love and kindness. This pile is very different from a lot of people. Surrender to the flow and see the truth. But you are very similar to a lot of people too. And when we're so different, it is important to focus on those similarities as well. So we don't create that hate, that fear, that division. And I think that's a lot of the things that you try to tell people too. I'm getting the image of Pocahontas when she throws herself over the top of John Smith to keep her father from killing him. First off, for a crime he didn't even commit. But she was willing to sacrifice herself to end that war, to bring people to peace. She was willing to do whatever she had to do, and she was brave enough and courageous enough to do it, to stand up against everyone around her, even those in the highest positions of authority, to be able to make the changes in the world that she felt like needed to be made. These are the things that people are saying about you. And some of you may be having a hard time finding that courage in this very moment because you may have something very big coming up in front of you. Something that's very daunting, something that you've never done before, in a room filled with people on a level you've never even entered that kind of room before. I'm a redneck woman, I ain't no high class bra. I'm just a product of the raisin. I say hey y'all and yeehaw. I keep my Christmas lights on my front porch all year long. And I know all the words to every Charlie's Daniels song. I stand there booted in my own front yard with a baby on my hip. You might think I'm trashy, a little too hardcore, but in my neck of the woods, I'm just the girl next door. And somebody might have actually said something along those lines to you recently too, that made you in some way self-conscious about those parts of yourself. But you know deep down, you have been able to sit and talk to many different people from many different walks of life, to be able to relate to them and to be able to connect to them. And you will be able to do just fine in this too. And everybody else is rooting for you. They really see your wisdom. They see your knowledge. They see the truth that you speak, and they believe in it. You are somebody who is able to really be able to let go and just go with the flow, live in the moment, and enjoy life. You enjoy those ups when they're up, and you grunt, groan, and complain when things are fucked up. And then you pick yourself back up the next day. Nothing bothers you for too long. It's funny because it reminds me of bipolar energy because guess what? Bipolar people, they get really pissed off about something. And then 2 hours later, they're fine. Everything's fine. 10-10. Everything is fine. It's all good. All's forgiven. Everything's great. Let's move on with life. And they're really happy now. The non-bipolar people can be extremely hard for bipolar people to understand, just like bipolar people can be extremely hard for the other people to understand. Because they want to hold on to a fucking grudge for fucking 3 weeks. 3 weeks later, they're still silent and grumpy over there, and you're like, what the hell is going on here? 44, what are you upset about? And they're like, you remember that time 3 weeks ago? Really? Oh my God. Really? That's what this is about? You've been like this for the last 3 weeks because of that? What? I was upset that day too, but guess what? I got over it. Why are you living in that for 3 weeks? Some people can be extremely slow to shift their emotions. I feel like your emotions shift pretty swiftly. And I feel like a lot of that as well is because you've had to bring yourself up and out of a lot of pain, a lot of hurt, a lot of heartbreak. You've had to be very strong. You've had to be there for yourself. And so when it comes to being able to pull yourself up out of things, you do it very quickly. And that's not normal to a lot of people. So they label it with, oh, things move and work, and how and how many fucking amazing things they come up with. Maybe they think that way for a reason, and we should just leave their fucking brain alone and stop fucking throwing chemicals on it or making them feel like they're not a good enough person without chemicals. And I mean, once in a while, There is nothing wrong with taking something, but to be on something for life because everybody else thinks your personality isn't okay is pretty fucked up. That's what it seems like to me anyway, is what that is. You have to live inside their little structured fucking box, and if you're not the perfect person, let's just put meds on you. So we can make you this docile. It's like when Stewie Griffin on Family Guy started taking Ritalin. He was just like, nah, over there drooling in the corner and shit. And he's no longer moving. He's no longer bouncing around. He's no longer coming up with his evil plans either. But, you know, some of you could definitely relate to certain villains in this pile as well. One of the ones that was coming up was the Bride of Chucky, or like Scar. So, you're a very kind and loving person. You always try to do right by people. And you always try to take the high road when it comes to a lot of situations. I'm not saying you're perfect. I'm sure there's been times where you've ended up on that low road, especially with all these fucking emotions, because guess what? They can turn into a fucking volcano in the blink of an eye, and you can just devour everybody in those flames and that magma, melting everything along your course. But you do try. You try to work things out in a peaceful way. You try to work on your triggers when you see them. And you're a very good person. So, that is what I have for this pile, guys. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this reading. I would absolutely love to hear what you guys had to say about it, whether or not you resonate with this, what you may have going on, all that good stuff. Remember, if this was something you enjoyed, something you got something from, or, you know, brought you healing, things like that, to support my channel in the ways that you can. Liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, leaving timestamps, donations, purchases, super chat stickers, or super thanks stickers. All those things really help me out so much, you guys, and it allows me to be able to support myself as I'm here to support you all on your paths as well. So thank you guys so much for giving back, and I hope you guys have a beautiful night or day, whatever it is, wherever you are when you're watching. Yes, it is that day. Bye-bye, guys.